Okay, good morning. Welcome to the final episode of the year of College Coffee Talk with your hosts, Pearl and Andy Lockwood. You're Pearl.
I am. Hi, everybody.
Welcome. If you're enjoying a beverage the way we are, this is cappuccino
Cappuccino.
made by my lovely wife. Please join us in a synchronized sip. 1, 2, 3. That is delicious. Got a big show today. Befitting for our final broadcast of 2024. Pearl is going to walk you through the sorcery that she performed to save a mom 270,000 donuts.
273,000 donuts. Yes.
Okay. Kind of crazy.
Goodbye. Washed. See you later. Never to be seen from again. Yep.
This doesn't happen every day, but you've had multiple, remarkable success stories like this, as she's expertised herself on how to navigate the student loan forgiveness. I should say the shape-shifting, ever-shifting, shape-shifting student loan forgiveness landscape. So that's going to be very interesting to hear about, because I think a lot of people we just know a lot of people who have similar issues, and I think this will be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to tell you a little bit about a tussle I had with a guidance counselor. I wrote an email about this last week, so I think we can talk about that. But first, say hi in the comments if you're watching with us live. Tell me and Pearl what type of beverage you are enjoying as we count down to the new year. And if you have any questions at all about anything college related, this show is for you. It's about getting into college, about paying for college, some offshoots here with like student loans today. We're going to be talking about how to feed and care and manage your guidance counselor. What else? Test prep. We've got test prep classes starting next 2 weeks from now. So there's always a lot going on, always a lot to talk about, and this is a good opportunity for you to reach out to us and get your questions answered, right? Okay, so I want to make sure that we are coming in loud and clear. We had some camera issues this morning. Always something. It's not that I change anything; it just happens, right? So I see several people with us this morning. Again, don't be shy. Good morning to Tara. Good morning to John. And anyone else, let us know. We're coming in loud and clear. All right. So all right. The first thing I want to talk about was a fairly common scenario that happens pretty much every year over the summer. And I'd actually forgotten about this until the client reminded me. So one of our boot camp students got in early decision to her school, where she was not a slam dunk to get in. It was a top school, 6% admissions rate, Ivy caliber, very elite school. And she beat the odds and she got in. And she goes to a private school in the Long Island area. So over the summer, the student and the mom had asked me separately, do you think I should submit my SAT scores? And I said, well, what do you have? Give me the background. And she told me the scores, and she said that her guidance counselor said that she should submit them. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. So I punched up the statistics on this particular college, and I saw that she was in the 25 to 75% range, but toward the bottom. And I said, okay, well, I know a lot of people do advise you to submit your scores if you're in that range, but there's a lot more to the decision, right? Admissions officers and admissions committees look at, I think, 25 factors, some of which is out of your control, but some of which is in your control, not only your GPA, but also your rigor, how many AP classes you take. We call that rigor where I grew up. And race, ethnicity, stuff that's not only out of your control, but also not particularly politically correct. Information about your parents, what high school you go to. Okay. So when I looked at the totality of the application, my judgment was that she was very strong in all those other areas, but not strong in terms of the SAT score. So my advice was, no, I would not. I said I would definitely not submit the SAT score, because that would give admissions a reason to deny you. I don't want to ever give anyone a reason to say no. She had all these other reasons to say yes. So that's of course what ended up happening. The students went against the guidance counselor's advice, did not submit her scores, and the next thing I knew, 2 weeks ago, she got in, which was very cool. So it's never just one thing that gets a kid in or not.
And it's very case specific.
Right. Yeah. It's right. So it depends on how you look at these. See, most people don't understand all the factors that go into the admissions decision, so they're just making these calls based on very limited data.
Yeah.
But you have to really learn about and expand all the factors that go into the mix. Bless you.
Thank you.
Sneezing on the truth. So so that was cool. It was fun to hear, and we had a great conversation, and great kid. So happy for her. She worked very hard, and it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting when our clients get wins like that.
Great.
Okay. All right. So let's now talk about student loan forgiveness, but specifically how Pearl saved a mom who had her own loans $273,000.
Right.
Because there is some sorcery, and it's a little complicated, but this is the type of skill set that you have developed, and of course, I think it pertains to probably tens of thousands of people, at least across the country, that might be tuning in to us at one point or another. So walk us through it. Do your best to give the details that are important,
Okay.
but understand that no one has your expertise.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first, let me just give a little bird's eye explanation of loan forgiveness that exists and is available. There are two main categories of loan forgiveness. There is loan forgiveness under an income-based repayment plan, where after, depending on the specific income-based repayment plan that's selected, either 10, 15, 20, or 25 years from the time that you are enrolled in such income-based repayment plan, and you are not a public servant, after your particular repayment time period has elapsed and you've made all the required payments at your income-based repayment plan, after X amount of years, depending on the plan, the rest of that loan at that time is forgiven. However, there is a tax bomb in that year that you seek and get forgiveness on the forgiven amount. I am not spending the rest of today. I will just touch on that type of loan forgiveness briefly and just explain what's been happening. I think it's relevant and important in case that is somebody like, wait, I'm in one of those income-based repayment plans. What's happening? Or I want to join one of those income-based repayment plans. What's going on? Because when I go online, I can't find them. I can't see a place to actually enroll in an income-based repayment plan since COVID began, actually. And now that has changed as of December 17th. So again, I'm just going to round out that discussion on non-public service loan forgiveness and let you know. So now they've reopened some of those income-based repayment plans because everyone was formally putting their repayment plans into the SAVE plan, which has been determined and declared unconstitutional. And so it left all those borrowers already enrolled in repayment plans not in a viable repayment plan. So as such, the Department of Education just last week, 2 weeks ago, reopened the two of the repayment plans that are viable under income-based repayment plans, specifically the PAYE, P-A-Y-E plan, and the ICR, income contingent, yes, repayment plan. Exactly how that's going to be worked out and how it's actually going to be managed and how it's going to actually work remains to be seen, because again, the new administration has not taken over yet, and there is a lot that the new department can eliminate, but then there are some things that can't be touched. So just again, I'm getting to the public service repayment. All right, so that's income-based repayment plan, non-public servants. The other main topic of loan forgiveness is called public service loan forgiveness. Here are those requirements, and this is where my new success story comes from. The mother who I'm going to tell you what the requirements are, and then I'm going to tell you what we had to do in order to get $273,000 of this mom's parent loans for her 5 children. Okay, so the amalgamation of all the loans amassed $273,000.
And I just want to say, if you're just joining us, what's interesting about this very arcane, complicated process is, if you have loans and you're following or you're trying to follow news about student loan forgiveness, you might just assume that all that only pertains to student loans.
Right.
But in this case, you're talking about a parent who took loans, and we see a lot of parents who take 6 figures worth of loans.
Right.
And you may feel like that is not something that you can do anything about under these new plans, but this case study and other of your clients in our loan forgiveness consulting business, it can be helped.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Okay, so just to give you the basics, the public service, in order to qualify for public service loan forgiveness, you need to be, number one, employed by an eligible public service employer. How was that figured out? You would go on to the student loan site, and there's actually a public service loan forgiveness tool right in the site that enables you to look up your employer's status. You would just need the EIN of your corporation that you work for, the business you work for, and plug it in. It's either going to say eligible or ineligible. Okay.
Is that accurate in your experience?
It is accurate, except it's not fully inclusive. So
So not accurate.
Well, it's not completely accurate.
Okay.
Here's the problem. If there has never been an employee, because you have this particular mother, she had 3 different, and I'm going to explain her facts in a second, but she had 3 different jobs as a public service employee. One of her government employment situations had been in the system, and it just popped up eligible when we put in that EIN number. However, another small government entity that she had worked for during that time it was surely a government agency, and it surely is eligible according to the facts. But when we use the public service tool, it said, not found or ineligible. So when you know that that's not so, you're going to have to do, and we had to do extra work at actually applying for that entity to get certified and determined eligible, so that we could get credit for the time that this mother worked for that public service employer. So first, you got to be employed by the right employer. And just parenthetically, this is something what can get changed in going forward with the new administration. People are like, well, what's going to change? Maybe who a qualifying employer is, or perhaps, let's just say this is where it potentially can change. This is what my research shows. Let's say you work for a qualifying employer, but what you do for that employer is really not related to the public service portion. Like you do something else for the company that is wholly unrelated to their public service. Okay. You may no longer be qualified. So the rules it seems like they're going to be small, making the qualifying number of employers or those who are qualified shrink.
Or what, beyond the whole Department of Education?
No, that's actually not going to happen.
Okay. You heard it here,
Fear
folks.
monger.
All right.
All right.
Let's just focus on the case study.
So the case study.
Without
So
your
this,
speculation.
okay. Well, very quickly, just running through. So you have to be working for the public service employer. You have to be working full time. So if you, in the course of your employment, did some per diem, some short time, whatever, that is not going to count. You need to have loans that qualify. Parent loans do not qualify for public service loan forgiveness. Well then what's the point? Okay, so we need to try to keep it interesting, kids. We need to change the characteristic of that loan. This is part of what I had to do to get this going, get it through. Since we know the Parent Plus loan does not qualify, we had to change that loan by consolidation and selecting into a new loan of a direct consolidation where you remove the Parent Plus tag from it. And now you're left with a qualifying loan for public service loan forgiveness.
Yes. So in other words, the loan did not qualify for this program,
right.
But Pearl was able to do the paperwork
right.
to transform it into it's like alchemy, right? In order to change the loan from unqualifying to qualifying, and that's right. a process called
consolidation.
Double or single?
It's got to be a double consolidation.
Okay. So
I didn't want to go down.
So that's just a step, and we can't spend all this time on that. But that is how you change a parent loan that doesn't qualify into a education loan that does qualify.
Exactly.
Okay. So
that has to also happen. Okay. You need to make sure your repayments are in an income-driven repayment plan. So you see where that was a real rub when they got rid of the income payment plans, but now they're back. So that's good for those seeking public service loan forgiveness. And you need to make 120 on-time payments of your loan according to your income-based repayment plan. It need not be consecutive, but all those payments had to have been made while you are employed by that public service employer, the repayments. And then when you are seeking, after you've paid 120 on-time qualifying payments while your loan was converted into the right loan, you have the right employer, and now and now you're still employed as a public servant. It is at that time all these requirements have to be met, and then you can apply for loan forgiveness. Part of also getting that loan forgiveness is getting all of your public employers along the way. Could have been one, could be multiple. That doesn't matter as long as it's a qualifying employer and you're eligible, and that's fine. At that point, we had to get every employer to certify and say, yes, we're this government agency, and yes, this employer did work all these particular hours. You got to get all the hours right, the weeks right. I mean, it's a yeoman's effort. But so we applied for the public service loan forgiveness, and there was some question. I'll tell you, I had my own skepticism about this particular one working, because there were the COVID years, and then there were some other years of forbearance in between that I didn't believe that she would necessarily get credit months for that time period. But lo and behold, the best case scenario, I mean, I just kept going, I don't know what's going to count. Maybe you'll get 3 years worth of the 10 years that you need. Lo and behold, last week, we logged in, and probably pull up those pictures. It says you have completed 120 of the 120 payments. So that all checked, and your loan balance is zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Big get out of jail free card. Yeah.
Tremendous albatross lifted from this mother's neck. And she said, I feel like I'm in my own Hallmark movie.
That's funny.
She was.
Very funny.
She said it's like a dream come true. Nothing. It was like a dream, literally. And there's no way. I had to keep rubbing my eyes and double checking it. And frankly, she got some email, and I was like, oh God, it's probably fake. I went on to the federal site, and lo and behold, and I have the screenshots.
Very cool.
But it's extremely cool. So yes, it works. And I would say my advice is, if there's any possibility, apply for it, try for it.
Okay, so good morning to Dawn, Andrea, Stephanie, Chuck. If you have questions, I see one came in. Lob them in here. Janine, Namir, Will Davidson. Hey, Will. Lisa, and John's question: would the public service tool work for a parent loan when it's the child in a public service job, but not the parent?
No.
Okay.
The child could do that for the child's loan, but I just want to let those who have not done borrowing yet or want some more information, because maybe somebody will be like, well, why don't you just stick it all in the child's name? Students are capped at what they are able to borrow at the undergraduate level. Those amounts are $5,500 in the freshman year, $6,500 in the sophomore year, and $7,500 for the junior year, the senior year, and any additional year thereafter needed to complete the undergraduate program. If you go for 4 straight years, it's a total of $27,000 over the 4 years. Not quite enough to hit the $90,000 a year cost of attendance altogether. So the parent is able to borrow the rest of what's owed in any given year. So if you have a parent that borrows, the rest of what's owed each year, and multiple kids, you're going to get a sizable loan balance. But again, it is borrower specific. Student loans are in the student name, and they can seek whatever is applicable to that student. And I'm going to make one with public service loan forgiveness. It's terrific. When you do get the forgiveness of the loan balance at the time you get it, and this is a big difference between public service loan forgiveness and ordinary loan forgiveness under the income-based repayment plans. And as you remember in the beginning, I said the income-based repayment plans, when those loans are forgiven, there is a tax event, a tax bomb, if you will, on the forgiven amount in the year you seek forgiveness.
It's treated as income.
It's treated as income,
Right.
The forgiven amount.
Right. So in other words, if you had, not in this case, but if you had $270,000 forgiven and you weren't a public servant,
right,
somehow, then that would count as an extra $270,000 worth of income, and you'd pay
a percentage.
Income taxes,
right,
whatever your marginal rate is on that amount.
Right, that's correct. But
which is crappy, but you still don't have to pay back the $270,000.
It's right, and you would obviously only do that if you would pay much less still.
Well, of course,
under that plan, right. With public service loan forgiveness, on the other hand, after you successfully complete your 120 on-time payments with the qualifying employer and you're still employed, all that, the forgiven amount is forgiven tax-free,
big loophole,
which is tremendous. Yeah.
So, like I was saying at the beginning, if you're just joining us, this is an exceptional case study, but it's just one of, I would say, I don't know, 5 or 6 or so that we've been working on since we sort of rolled out softly, mostly because of the uncertainty with the rules and regulations. But we rolled out a service at yesterdaysdebt.com where Pearl helps people figure out how to pay less on their loans, and in some cases get forgiven entirely. And you've had these crazy case studies, the first 5 or 6 or first handful, or something like, the borrower was looking at paying $4,000 a month, and you were able to get that down to like $700.
Exactly. For my other non-public service, but my regular loan forgiveness clients, and that's pretty tremendous. Like, imagine you're now facing, just because you're going to be put in de facto the standard repayment plan if you do nothing to your loans.
Right.
That's what it is, and that's the highest amount you can pay. You'll never pay more than that under any of these other plans. Your monthly amount can never exceed your standard repayment amount. So that's the highest amount you paid. And in a situation where there's about $400,000 of debt, that is what the standard payment's going to look like. Hold for me.
Every time.
Yeah.
By the way, just as a fundamental thing to say here, if you borrowed for college, you have to pay the loans back, right? I mean, that's still as crazy as things have gotten, in this country. That's still one of the things that you have to do. But there's all these loopholes, and I was talking to a potential client the other day, and he's a veteran, and he's got a plan, eligibility to be able to get all of his college costs wiped out. And we've had other people who have disabilities who qualify for programs where they can get everything wiped out, right? So we're specialists. I mean, we don't talk about this stuff a lot because, probably my fault. It's because the focus is really more about what do you need to do to get into college, how are you going to qualify for loans, things like that. Need-based financial aid, grants, scholarships. I focus on that. Pearl focuses on the financial aid stuff. But this is equally important because there are hundreds of thousands of families who have crushing six-figure debt, whether it's student or parent, or a combination of student and parent debt, and this could really, really be helpful. So if you do want to talk to Pearl, go to yesterdaysdebt.com. She'll do a consultation with you, tell you exactly what you should do by yourself after she analyzes everything for you and give you a plan. And then from there, it's usually goodbye and good luck, because it's a lot of work to do the hand holding to have people, to help people do all the rest. But it's very valuable, and you can see, again, we can't promise $273,000 worth of relief, but it can be very valuable.
Happened, and I'm thrilled. So happy for them.
Yep, good. Anything else? Let me see if there's any other questions before we wrap up.
Last 2024
show of the year. Good morning to Christine. Good morning to Rufa. And Carolyn says hello from Haymarket, Virginia. Christine, other Christine, crying, is watching. So good. Very cool. All right. Well, wherever you are watching this or listening to this, we kind of simulcast this, not just on our Facebook page every Monday at 10, but it also goes on our YouTube, and it goes eventually onto our podcast, The College Admissions Edge. Wherever you're watching, I really recommend you subscribe so you hear more stuff like this that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Pearl, good job this year.
Thank you. Great job to you.
Great job this year. Yeah. We have to come up with our predictions for next year. That'll be a big webinar that we do sometime in the middle of January.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay tuned for that announcement. If you're on our email list, you'll hear about that. We'll post that here too. Thanks, guys. Have a great
Happy
New Year.
healthy 2025
New Year, and we'll see you in 25.